Join me because I'm making black bean burgers for dinner. I have already done all of the preliminary work. So I have 2 cans of corn. You can have them frozen, you can have them raw, whatever you want. Do what you want. Do what works for you. I have already soaked my raw beans. I cook as much as possible from scratch because my husband has complex regional pain syndrome. It causes a lot of physical ailments, one of those being very, very, very stressful things on his digestive system. So I try to always know what ingredients are going into our meals as much as possible. So whenever I can cook from raw ingredients, I will do so. So it was 3, if you're doing a big, big batch, which I am doing, because we go through a lot of these burgers because they are genuine restaurant quality. You're welcome. I soaked 3 cups of raw beans. Once that is soaked for a few hours as well as cooked, it turns into about 8 cups of black beans. It's a large batch. You do not have to do that. It's what works for us, and that's what I'm doing. So in the bowl has already been put all the black beans. So I am now going to add my corn. Adding my corn. I don't have a lot of counter space, so I work with what I got. So you got to hold, you got to move, you got to adjust as you go. It is what it is. Work with your environment, okay? I also have already chopped all of my raw ingredients. Very simple. This is just 1 yellow onion. This is 1 large red onion. And this is 9 jalapeno peppers for flavor. So I will not use all of these jalapenos in the burgers. I will put maybe 1/3 of them in the burgers just for jazz. The rest of them I will also be making jalapeno poppers, separate video. So here we go. We're gonna do some scoopage. That's what I said scoopage. So I'm gonna push about 1/3 of these jalapenos in for flavor in my burgers. Then we're gonna rotate. We're rotating. So I like frankly, I like all kinds of onions, but I am putting about 2/3 of this very large purple, red, whatever. I mean, it's purple, but they call it red. Call it what you want. I don't really care. Okay, so do I measure? No, I do not. This is bread flour because I don't have any other kind of flour currently on hand to help things stick together. So this is what I'm using. It works. And I'm just eyeballing. I like to measure with my heart because my heart is so happy that it always makes good decisions. Before I add all of the, a smart person would get a bigger bowl. I don't have one. So that's the challenge that I have in my limited kitchen size, and not thinking ahead in how much I just stuck in this bowl. So I'm gonna take a minute and I'll be right back after I get this all mixed up. I have returned. So one thing I forgot to specify too is I made sure these black beans were still a little bit warm because they just manipulate a little better, and it also, along with the flour, helps the burgers kind of stick together. So what I'm gonna do, so you don't want them complete mush because then it's just not a fun texture. And it's already plant-based, so there's a little bit of an adjustment with texture if you're not used to eating plant-based compared to a typical burger with meat. So I'm gonna add some salt, pepper, nutritional yeast. This is what us plant-based people use to make sure we get plenty of vitamin B12. It's got a bit of a cheesy flavor as well. It's usually a common vitamin that you get deficient in whenever, if you're not getting enough variety with your plant-based choices. So it just kind of ensures keeping that B12 higher. I'm going to use chipotle because I love it so much. A little smoky, a little spicy. If you remember, I added it to my honey mustard and it worked out beautifully. Yes, my husband and my kids enjoyed it. All right, garlic powder because I didn't feel like chopping garlic, and this is what I have. I just like how that looks, so I added extra. Now this is all to your heart's content, whatever whatever level you want on flavor. Smoked paprika. Yes, I know that's not how you pronounce it, but it's how it's spelled, so I'm going with that. And there we go, a little more smoky jazziness. So what I also do is I just kind of twist my hand, but I kind of fold as I'm doing this. So I want it all obviously the spices and flavorings to spread, but I also kind of am mushing and squeezing at the same time. So I'm kind of getting that stick togetherness of all of my ingredients. So whenever I go to make my patties, they're not too dry and they don't crumble apart. This is a little bit of a trial and error practice to get it how you like it. I have had them too dry before, and it was just very frustrating on trying to get it to stay together once I was cooking it. And then I've also had them too wet before, and that just makes a mushy flat mess. They don't hold their shape. So it is a little bit of a finesse of practicing the texture of it. So one trick I have done is if they are a little there's too much moisture, say you use canned green beans, sure, canned corn. I've also used canned black beans, but you have to drain the liquid unless you want just too much liquid in there, which it doesn't work. But if you have a little too much liquid on accident, add extra spice, extra flavor, because the dry ingredients can kind of help it. Or obviously you can add additional flour that can kind of help soak up some of that moisture. But just be aware. And like I said, plant-based is very much practice, trial and error with pretty much all recipes. All right, let's just get it all off. So now I'm liking this texture. I'm going to form all of the patties and I'm going to lay them out and then I'm going to cook them. You can cook these in the oven, but as you know, I am solar power reliant, and so I don't always have the ability to use my oven because it draws power and it just depends. So I do these on the stovetop and it works beautifully. I didn't think this through. That worked better than I thought it would. Oh yeah. Spank it. Spank it. I'm laying it out on a paper towel right now. Now normally I honestly do this as I go, but I'm trying this new method of getting all the patties made, and that way I have the free hand without the glove, one with and one without. And I feel like that's going to work more effectively because it's messy and we don't have running water. So while we do have water, it still can be a task. You can't just turn on the faucet because we don't yet have that option. My burgers are cooked. So just for some perspective on how delicious these are, I have literally made the size of the batch that I just made for the third time inside of a week. That's how crazy my family is for these burgers. And also the practice makes better aspect of this. For the first time today, I actually I didn't measure them, but I looked at them. You saw I looked at them and laid them out and made all the patties uniform instead of just grabbing a handful and putting it in the pan and kind of flattening it out so they were all different sizes. So the first time this past week that I made them, I made 12 with that batch. The second time I made 17. This time, where they were a little more uniform in size, 20 burgers. So practice makes better, people. Now for the assembly. I don't have the hamburger buns, so I'm using bread. So we are going to butter. This is the knife that I have. It's gonna work. It's fine. So what I do is I crisp up my bread. I'm gonna butter just one side. If you want to do both sides, do both sides. I don't care. And my husband is always looking for ways to make his meals even better. So what he likes is a little bit of, got it, a little bit of garlic on the buttered side, so it's garlicky goodness. Now again, you can do this on both sides, just a little sprinkle of some garlic powder. You can do it on both sides. I only do it on one, and he likes that on the inside, so it adds to the delicious flavor of the entire burger when it all comes together. 1 second, I'll be back. I'm gonna go sear this. All right, bread toasted, so it's nice and firm. It doesn't get mushy with the burger. If you've ever seen the Eddie Murphy where he talks about putting the Wonder Bread and making it into a burger from McDonald's, go watch it. It's funny. Okay, so here we go. We're assembling. I'm looking for my, oh, there it is. Same knife, because who cares? Now, the honey mustard that I made in a previous video, we're just going to do a nice little thin, because it's got a spicy kick, so we're not going to get crazy with it because there's no need. Nice thin layer on my bread here. All right, yummy, 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 yummy in my tummy. All right, then we're going to grab a burger. If you don't believe me, 20 patties. We're gonna grab one, we're gonna put it on our bread. Next, I'm gonna grab some raw onions that I previously did not. They were here for toppings. So a little bit of raw onions. Again, I have the yellow and the red / purple. I'm gonna do a little bit of both because let's see how that tastes. They do have their own little kicks of flavor. All right, then I have discovered that I don't like shredded cheese in comparison. It's got some kind of coating that prevents it from sticking. Not good for your insides or your taste buds. So all my toes are intact. Anyway, be careful while you cook. So I like to grate my cheese. Grate with a T. Something like that. I'm gonna grab some spinach. You can do this with lettuce. You can do this with whatever. It adds a little crunch. It adds some nutrient density. And being a nutrition coach, I'm all about it. And then you put your top on, and there you have it. Looks like a sandwich, tastes like a burger. This is for my husband. Another option is also putting it on a tortilla. So I'm all about the calorie deficit when you're in a fat burn phase, but also still enjoying and indulging or feeling like you're indulging in your meals. So this is a high fiber tortilla, which turns it into a low carb tortilla. I'm not against carbs, but I am for high fiber. So that's one of these. I have put some of the honey mustard on the tortilla patty. So what I do is I just kind of elongate, for lack of better explanation. So it's more like a taco burger or burger taco, however you want to look at it, but the assembly is still the same. So I'm going to put a little bit of each type of onion for crunch and added deliciousness. I'm going to add, oops, no, we're doing cheese first. I'm going to add some cheese. Just enough to spread evenly. And then I'm going to put a little spinach on top. and taco, burrito, however you want to look at it. Now, I try to wrap it up. My husband, he has the chronic radiating pain syndrome, CRPS, because of an injury he sustained. At this point, it's been about 20 years, but when your central nervous system gets traumatized, it never recovers fully. So he does not have all of the fingers on his dominant hand as they were ripped off in said accident. So I have to make food as usable as, or as edible, holdable as possible when he doesn't have anything more than his hand is kind of like this. These two fingers are gone. Most of his thumb, part of his thumb is gone. He's got most of his ring finger and he's got all of his pinky. So basically the only full finger on his hand is his pinky. So he has to do things a little bit different. So I try to, if I had a toothpick, I'd stick it in here. Do I have a toothpick? Stand by. Boom! I have toothpicks. All right. Look at, restaurant quality, baby. I'll see you in the next recipe.
Don't film me.